indicators like bubbles, ripples, they can be factors leads to hippos being in the area. So looking out for those as well. So here on this reserve, we do have a group of hippos, which is also called a bloat of hippos. The youngest member of our bloat of hippos is only a couple months old, and we could possibly find her out here today. Her name is Greta. She was born around 80 pounds. Looking over to your right side, coming up for a here now, you'll see one of those hippos directly to our right. So the hippo does have very sensitive skin. It's sensitive to the sunlight, so that is one of the reasons why they're going to stay in or around the water just about at all times. On these cooler days, it is common to see them out of the water sunbathing. That one, stand near the water. You can take a look over to our left side. Might find a few more hippos over here, but as we look for the hippos, look on the island. You'll see those lighter colored birds. Those are the pink-backed pelicans. The pelican gets the pink color on their skin during mating season. And they also live in colonies of up to 500 pairs of those pelicans per colony, up to 1,000 birds in a single pelican colony. Here's one of the hippos directly beneath us. You see it way down there? Make sure you stay seated, but there it is, all the way at the bottom, walking along at the bottom. They can't actually swim down there either. They just kind of walk along the very bottom of the water. So a few of those hippos opting to stay in the water this afternoon. Now those hippos, you can get a much better view of them over at the Gorilla Falls Trail, but here's our little baby hippo. There's Greta. You see her on the islands. There she is laying out today. So super tiny. Make sure you stay seated, please. Take a seat. Now the reason she looks so small compared to the adults is because the adults weigh about 4,000 pounds. She weighs about 80. Crossing the bridge, you can make sure you stay seated, but look just beneath us and you'll see the Nile crocodiles down there. Now the jaws of the crocodile are powerful. They can crush the bones of any of their prey. And although their diet primarily consists of fish, they have been known to attack almost anything that jumps in front of them, including humans. So on that note, let's keep moving. Well now friends, we're finally making our transition into the savannah. The savannah is home to some of Africa's most popular animals. Zebras, lions, cheetahs, and of course, giraffes. So hopefully we'll find all those animals and more as we progress through the area. You can also see a baobab tree on the right side here. The baobab tree, also called the upside down tree for obvious reasons. It holds water within its trunk and it can be leafless for up to 9 months of the year. Find some more of those baobabs as we move along and hopefully find some animals along our trip too. I'll point the animals out as we come to the closest and furthest away. And one of the first things you'll notice as we head down the hill to enter the savannah, lots of trees out there. The vegetation on the trees or the leaves on the trees overall does look kind of flattened out altogether. And the reason behind that is simple. It's as high up as an adult giraffe can reach. They love snacking on those trees for most of the day and sometimes they're even out here at night. But now let's bounce over to the right side really quickly. You can see a zebra over here. This is a Hartman's mountain zebra. The mountain zebra is the only type of zebra that has something called a dewlap. And a dewlap is just the extra skin that hangs below their necks. You can kind of see it on this one on the right. Now we're probably going to find a few more of those zebras as we move along too. We have a group of zebras here called a dazzle of zebras. You can see a few of the wildebeest over to our right side, those gray colored antelopes. We have a rather large group of wildebeest on the reserve, but in the wild they move in herds of up to 1.5 million at a time. It means the only other mammals that could possibly move in larger groups than wildebeests are humans. And we should also be approaching another animal habitat, this time to our left, where we might find some painted dogs, some African painted dogs.
Wait, what's the left?
Over to our left side, if you look inside the den and just in front of the den, you'll see those painted dogs. They're the most successful hunters in Africa, with around an 80% success rate when it comes to hunting. And also, instead of barking like the dog you have at home, the painted dog makes a noise that sounds similar to a squeak toy. So there they are, all inside and just in front of the den to our left. Make sure everyone's sitting down, please. On our left, you'll see a few more wildebeest. You'll see the brown antelopes in the corner as well, the sable antelopes. Both the males and the females have horns, but the coat of the male gets a little darker as it matures. And then we're also passing by some termite mounds, these cone-like structures on both sides of us. Now, they're made of a combination of dirt, saliva, and dung. And because of that, they can be as hard as concrete. Animals will use them as scratching posts or back scratchers, but other times, small antelopes climb all the way to the top of them to use them as lookout points. One more thing about those wildebeest, another name for them is the gnu, spelled G-N-U, and they were named that because that is the noise that they make when they start to vocalize. I'm going to see a few more animals up ahead, just up this path a little bit further. So like some Ankole cattle that we'll find coming up. Now before we get up to the Ankole, you're going to see some springboks over to our right side, down this little pathway to our right. Those small spores-colored antelopes. Now the springbok is the third fastest land animal. Their top speed about 55 miles per hour. They can also jump 6 feet straight up in the air from a standstill. Super agile antelopes. Wildebeest, and there are those Ankole way out there, the animals with the super big horns. Their horns, although they are large, they are also hollow, with a honeycomb-like structure, providing for excellent blood circulation, keeping them cooler on warmer days. Another name for the Ankole cattle is the Watusi cattle, and the Watusi is seen as a sign of status in Africa. The more of the animals you own, the richer you are. And there they are, way out there to our right.
Where's what? Watusi tribe.
Look at those! Wow. Look at those!
On the right side, we have finally found those giraffes, my friends. So quite a few of them on our right. Looks like we're going to find a few of them on our left side, too. It's a group called the Tower of Giraffes. Now, I mentioned earlier in the safari they only sleep for 30 minutes a day. Usually the rest of the time they spend eating. About 20 hours a day spent eating.
Slightly ahead of me.
So no surprise, just about all of them are eating this afternoon. Now their top speed's about 35 miles per hour. We rarely ever see them show that speed, just because there's not really ever any kind of reason for them to run. There's no threat, no danger out here for them. I'm just kind of taking their time. Now hopefully this giraffe stays over to the right side. Looks like she's eyeing this side of the road. You can still see her on the right side as we pass by. She's going to kindly let us pass.
Right. I had the same number of things in that as you do.
So we're going to be back on the savannah eventually, but for now we're in this next area looking for some African elephants. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Now before we look for the elephants, first take a look on your left. You'll see some monkeys over here. These are the mandrills, the largest of the monkey. That's what Rafiki is, and the Lion King. You can see him underneath the trees to our left. But there's that elephant on the right side, folks. The largest elephant on the reserve. And since there's only one of them, there's a good chance this one is a male. Males are solitary. They don't get along with their elephants very well. Now sometimes they'll form groups with other male elephants called bachelor groups. It's a rare occurrence, but we do have a successful one here at the park, and this is actually our leader of the bachelor group. Notice how his back looks a little dirty right now too. They love slinging dirt and mud up on their backs because it'll act as a natural insect repellent and a natural sunblock for them. But we are going to move this path a little bit further. We're going to cross the next bridge, and we should be in our second elephant habitat in the next couple of minutes. So in the meantime, just going to sit back, relax. We'll be up there as soon as we can. thankfully made it across that bridge, and as we move underneath the next one, look to either side of the truck for the red clay pits. And there will be some tusk marks in the red clay, indicating elephants have been eating it. Red clay is high in nutrients and minerals. Elephants eat red clay pretty much for the same reasons why we take daily vitamins, almost the same thing, but just for those African elephants. And you'll see some more of them over to our left side. I mentioned we have that small male group of elephants on the reserve. We have a much larger female group. I believe this is going to be our female group. The youngest member of our female group is only about 5 years old. Her name is Stella. During her days, she'll spend her time with her extended family, her aunts and her cousins. But at nighttime, she'll go right back to her mom, spending the night with her immediate family, which is a common theme for young elephants on reserves and in the wild. See a few more of the baobab trees, two to our right, then two of them off in the distance to our left. And these look similar to the first one that we saw before we entered the savanna, except for these have some punctures in their trunks. And sometimes animals with tusks or horns are going to puncture those trunks in the wild just to get the water out of the middle of them. And because of that, another nickname for the baobab is the tree of life. And that one sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? The left side, you'll have your opportunity to get a pretty good view of a couple of these elephants. Actually, it looks like 3 of the elephants to our left. On warm days, they'll come down to the watering hole to splash around or cool off a bit, but I have a feeling today, probably not going to be doing much of that. At least a great view of elephants on both sides of us today. Coming up to our left side, you'll see the greater flamingos, the largest of the flamingo species, standing about 5 feet tall at their tallest. The greater flamingo gets the pink color on their feathers from their diet. They eat a lot of shrimp, which is high in something called carotene. It's going to turn their feathers pink. Also, a group of flamingos like this is called a flamboyance of flamingos. And if you also saw some flamingos earlier on your walk through the park in front of the tree of life, you can see the mud pits on our left side, which are usually indicators that rhinos were here earlier today. Rhinos are going to roll around in the mud for the same reasons why we see elephants use dirt and mud, so to stay cooler and to keep the bugs off them. So we'll keep an eye out for the rhinos. They could be anywhere in the area. And the rhinos we usually find over here are white rhinos, a little larger than black rhinos, weighing up to a ton more, up to 5,000 pounds each. Well, no rhinos quite yet, but take a look at the next 2 yards to our left for some cheetahs. I do see at least a couple cheetahs in the first yard. Look to the left of all those fallen logs in the middle of that habitat, about halfway up that yard. They reach a top speed of up to 80 miles per hour, making them the fastest land animals, and they can also go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds, which is just as fast as the launch of Rock and Roller Coaster for Hollywood Studios. Some more cheetahs here in the second yard. Looks like primarily towards that left corner you can see them. Some of them walking around, a couple of them actually. Great. However, lions can sleep for up to 20 hours a day, just conserving their energy for later in the evening and the nighttime hours. Which is probably what's going on right now, but it's always worth a shot to look. On this reserve, we have 3 lions typically. 2 of them are female. They are both sisters. And then our male lion's name is Dakari. And usually they all start to wake up closer to closing time, sometimes after closing time too. And around that time of day, sometimes they begin to roar. At their loudest, their roars can be heard from up to 5 miles away. So if you're in the park after the safari closes tonight, you hear something that sounds like a lion roaring, I promise you're not going crazy. Over to the right side, looks like we'll find some animals here. There are the rhinos, way in the very back. You can barely see them back there to the right of that truck. The It's a group of rhinos called the crash of rhinos. Some water buck in the area too, those larger antelopes, and then also some ostrich over there too. We're gonna see all those animals one more time before we leave though. We're checking this backside of the Kobe. We might find some lions, but so far I am not seeing much up there. I think we're gonna be just a little bit too early to find the lions. That is all right, we'll have to keep on moving. On our left side though, we're gonna find a warthog coming up. The warthog, the largest burrowing animal. So if you look in this area to our left, look all the way towards the right part of the habitat. You can see him hanging up by himself to our left. They might not look like him, but they can also reach a top speed of up to 35 miles per hour. Wouldn't think that just by looking at them. Today enjoying some food though. Gonna get one more view of these animals on the right side, the ostrich, the water buck, and then might find those rhinos back there too. I think the largest bird lays the largest egg. Well, that they do, and there they are on the ground to our right. See that small rhino back there? That's about a year old. His name is Ranger. Ranger was born a little over a year ago. He's over 1,000 pounds. But now we're going to leave the savannah, entering the last section of our reserve, Magadi Glen. More specifically, the Warden's Post at Magadi Glen. Now sometimes we'll find animals on the grounds of the Warden's Post, so we're going to see if today's one of those days. And it looks like we will. If you look near the patio area of the Warden's Post on our left, you're going to see some tiny animals, I should say. And these small animals on our left are the Nigerian dwarf goats. Now, although they are pretty tiny, it's as large as they're ever going to be as well. They are adults. These goats, they can be found anywhere in the world, primarily domesticated as dairy goats. But sometimes we'll see the keepers out here with them too, and they are always all over the keepers. They love human interaction too. So we're proud to welcome them to some of our newest residents here on this end of the reserve. But in the end, my friends, again, thank you so much for your patience during that lengthy giraffe stop. As I said, that will happen sometimes, but I still think we had a good safari today. We saw all kinds of animals out there, especially on the savannah. So a success in my book. Now, if you're looking to find some more animals, specifically here in Africa, I recommend that you check out the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. It's going to be